Why though?
It's just typical,
like the villains getting greedy, right?
It's just typical Asian gangster shit, just getting greedy. It's like in the original Killer. Just pay the guy.
It's true.
Like he would still be alive. It's just greed, Dad. That's all it is. It's greed.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Two Asian Blokes podcast, a podcast where we talk about Asian pop culture, films, TV shows, comic books, anime, music, food, video games, whatever we're feeling at the time, really. My name is Dan with the H, and with me, as always, is my co-host, back from Japan, fresh as a daisy. It is Tavi. Hello, Tavi.
Fresh. Yes, very fresh indeed. As I was falling asleep while setting up. No, actually, I'm all right now. I was kind of tired before, but I've been having like weird waves of energy. But
the magic of podcasting, bringing you back from the dead.
Yeah, it's actually been a little while since you and I have gotten cooped up in our rooms with our gear. But, you know, with our constant release of streaming, because like we never left.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, we didn't take a month off.
We didn't take a month off, nah.
We didn't recycle old content
from a year ago or something like that. Yeah, but you know, that's all the smoke and mirrors.
The magic of podcasting. Nobody is the wiser.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, we have just come back from an overseas trip from Japan, which we will talk about in a future episode that might involve some video games. Stay tuned on our YouTube channel for that.
Yes, as requested by some of our super fans that we caught up with. I caught up with
you
in
did.
Japan.
Because I hate our fans.
You hate fans.
If you see me on the street, don't talk to me. Don't even look at me in the eyes. Nah, you're all right. But yes, in the spirit of Japan, we're going to do two movies. One set entirely in Japan and one where the intro scene is in Japan.
But it's an Indonesian film.
Film. So we're going to be looking at an animated film called Look Back, and we're going to be looking at an Indonesian martial arts film called The Shadow Strays.
Yeah, two pretty different kind of films.
I will put time codes in if you want to jump around. And we won't be doing full spoilers from the get-go. We'll give you a fair warning before we start dropping major spoilers.
Yeah, very good. Very nice. You haven't done that like TV show voice in a little while, have you, Dan?
Is it that obvious?
Get ready for the next show.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up, guys? The influencer voice, yeah. Oh dear, yeah. Let me tell you about what I saw in Shibuya in our Japanese episode.
Okay, can't wait.
It's probably like not actually as good as I'm making it out to be, but yeah, there you go. A little foreshadowing.
That's
unless
right.
This episode comes out after that episode, which is probably likely as well because we have no schedule and we don't plan anything. But that's all right.
Well, this will be the easier edit, so I'm guessing this one will come out first.
Yeah, probably.
Tavi, let's talk about Look Back.
Yes, Look Back.
So you pointed me out to this film. It's currently on Amazon Prime, so I got to watch it for free, which is how streaming works. But
not really. You've got to pay the subscription.
Shut up. But I noticed it is from based on the manga by Tatsuki Fujimoto, who is also the creator of Chainsaw Man. And just reading that, I can't believe I didn't notice it while watching the actual movie. Because, the character designs are pretty reminiscent of Chainsaw Man.
Yeah. And also the characters are,
Fujino
the characters'
and
names.
Kyomoto.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
Squish them together, you got Fujimoto.
And he's made himself female characters, I guess. So he must think he's
You can identify however you like, Tavi. It's 2024. Come on, buddy. Anyway, the plot of this anime it's about two at the start they're junior high school girls. Fujino is a manga artist for her school newsletter, so she does like the 4-panel cartoons, and her cartoons are really popular within her student body. But then suddenly she gets a request from her teacher to give one section of the comic strip to a girl named Kyomoto. At first, Fujino is hesitant about it, but then she lets it slide. And then she finds out that Kyomoto is an amazing artist, even better than herself, perhaps. So the two characters are drawn together through a love of drawing manga.
That's right. Yeah, I'd heard about this manga for a little while. When I was browsing Bezos Land, and I saw that there was this like one-shot manga called Look Back, and I liked the premise of it because I was always interested in like the idea of what goes behind like a manga production, or what it's like to draw manga.
A lot of crunch, it seems.
Yeah, a lot of crunch and thankless rewards.
A lot of not bathing, it seems.
A lot of losing your friends. Which is kind of true. I mean, like me being in a similar field, I don't think I've sacrificed that many friends, but maybe that's because that's a big reason why I haven't hit it big, because I haven't cut off my friends yet.
Sure.
So
who
knows?
So I mean, you're
and I bathe too much.
That's definitely never been your problem, Tavi. No, so you are referring to Fujino. At first, she is kind of inspired by a competitiveness in her to become better at drawing, because Kyomoto is so good at drawing. But the more time she devotes to drawing, the more distant she gets from her friends. And her friends start complaining about it, and her family as well. So, I guess the same can be kind of said for any kind of creative endeavor, or anything that you really need to devote 100% of yourself to. Right?
But especially true in the creative fields, though. It's like it's relatable in the sense that if you are any form of Asian person and you are trying to get into a field that involves creativity, there's always pushback, like without a shadow of a doubt. There's encouragement at first when you're a kid. Yeah, it's always like, oh, like, you did some pretty good drawings and stuff. That's cool. Like, you've got some skill. Whether some of that is genuine or that is just, encouraging your child. Because, not everyone's a Hayao Miyazaki where they're just like, looks pretty shit. But like, there's always going to be a point where when you get older, you're still chasing your dream of being that creative. You will get some pushback because it's like, well, you're getting older now. Don't you want to do something that's going to, be worth more your time?
Yeah, why don't you take up karate like an adult?
yeah, that's true. Karate.
What a ridiculous, why should you give up drawing to do karate? How are they,
there's a lot of jobs out there for karate teachers,
I suppose so.
Yeah, that's true. Was that like her sister?
The audacity of her sister to be like, why don't you quit your dreams, your ridiculous dreams of being an artist? Why don't you be a dojo master like me?
A dojo master is like, just go challenge people or whatever. But I'd heard about it, and then I heard that it was an anime, so I didn't know that they were developing this short one-shot manga as an anime. So I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. And then it had a lot of like positive buzz over it when it came out. So I was very interested to like see it. It did come to the cinemas in Australia, but we were overseas, so we didn't get a chance to watch it. And I think there was a big issue because of the length of the film, where most people will complain it's too long. This is too short.
It's only 58 minutes. In Sydney, you'd be paying $25 for that ticket. That's 50 cents per minute, almost.
Yeah. But I mean, like, for what it's worth, like, those 58 minutes is great. I really liked this story a lot. And it took a direction which I did not expect at all.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was really surprisingly gut punched and mesmerized.
We will save that for spoilers. But yes, very affecting.
Yeah, this anime, it's like, it's kind of starts off as to what I was expecting. And then until that point where like, damn, man, that's Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, like, dark at a point. Because I remember, like, I'm on the wiki now. It's a coming of age drama, and then I remember seeing horror thriller. I'm like, what? Because I know it was from the creator of Chainsaw Man.
Yeah.
But I'm like, how does this like really sweet looking manga, like based on the creative arts and based on like a personal story that's probably semi autobiographical. But yeah, it's
But anime can do that. Anime can often blend genres together, even genres that are completely different. But yeah, you're right. Like, it does start as a very sweet coming of age story. We're introduced to our probably main character, Fujino. Thing that strikes me about Fujino, she's not great. She's not a great person. She's pretty flawed of a main character.
Well, it's kind of like Denji as well. Like, Denji is also not a great person. So that's kind of like, that seems to be like Tatsuki's like trademark, making protagonists that are kind of unlikable, but they become likable by the end, or they're empathetic, which is kind of a risky choice, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of good in a way because, most people are flawed. So I guess making the characters have realistic flaws is a good way to have them resonate with the audience. In this movie's case, Fujino, she displays... first she displays arrogance because her comic strip is so beloved, and people keep telling her she's very talented, she can do anything she wants. But then she displays jealousy when she finds out that Kyomoto is actually a really good artist.
There's always that one kid in any movie that's always like, you know, the bit where there's the comparison and the classmates are like saying, this is one
that
kid's
boy,
like,
he's like, your drawings look pretty average compared to Kyomoto's. Just that one ratty kid.
It's just like so mean. And it like just haunts Fujino for like pretty much the rest of her time. It's like, fuck, man. Like,
it's really funny when she replays that in her mind, because it's like slightly exaggerated as well. And like the background of it is kind of like the colors are all warped and stuff. It's really funny.
It's so mean. It's really funny.
It like zooms in on his mouth. It's like,
it's like, your drawings look like an amateur compared to Kyomoto's. And it's just like, it's obviously there to push the sense of doubt into Fujino. But like,
and
whether kids are actually that mean in real life,
kids
I don't think
mean.
I've ever had my friends say that my drawings were that bad. Maybe it was for the better, because it's like, I think I kind of knew that I was a shit drawer, because I actually wanted to be a mangaka when I was in high school.
Yeah.
But
you got sassed by someone and then you gave up.
No, I didn't get sassed, unfortunately.
You just gave up on your own.
I just gave up.
Like a man,
I just realized, I'm not very good at drawing.
Yeah,
so,
and that's what almost happens to Fujino. She, initially spurred on by the challenge, she starts to try to get good at drawing. But then, she gets to a point where she's tried really hard, but the gap hasn't gotten any smaller. Kyomoto's drawings still surpass her. So she's on the verge of giving up. Well, she does give up for a time. It's like a very realistic trajectory for an aspiring artist, I think, because there's always going to be someone better than you, right?
Yeah, I really like that, actually, because it's true. Because sometimes, no matter how hard you try, there's always a Tarantino that's just ahead of the game at you, who's just like,
it's like, I like the Joker too, actually. He's so ahead of the game, Tavi.
So it's ahead of the game, It's a fuck you to Hollywood and a fuck you to... you can look forward to that episode with our special superfan.
Oh, yeah.
I sort of mentioned, like, because preceding that scene where she decides to give, she tries like really hard to learn. She like gets all these books and takes drawing, manga quite seriously. That's when she starts getting, or she starts neglecting her friends and they start giving her shit for it. But there's always that scene where like characters are trying to draw really hard, and then it just looks really their expression, and it comes twice in this where it's just like drawing is like agony or something. And I just find those frames really funny for some reason, because it's kind of like if I'm like editing or something and I'm just like screaming at the screen, which I often do.
Do you?
But it's not in agony.
I'm not sure I do. I think I've just got this slack-jawed expression on my face when I'm editing.
No, I tend to curse. I probably shouldn't say this, but like there's just something that happens to you in the edit suite when you are watching scenes over and over again, and then you just find like things that are wrong with it, like little things or little performance nuances that kind of irk you.
Right.
Why'd you make that stupid face?
I know exactly what you mean, Tavi. Recently, I actually got married, right? You were there. You saw.
Did you? Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Recently, we got our wedding photos back, right? And, you know, when you get married, you hire like a nice photographer at a price, right? So we got these photos back. And we're looking through them and we're like finding all these nice photos. And then there's like a really nice group photo of all of the wedding guests. And then I like look closely at the photo. I'm like, what's that next to my dad's leg? And then I zoom in to the photo, and it's like a plastic water bottle like next to his leg. Like this beautiful Japanese garden. And then my dad's just got this plastic, like garish looking water bottle next to it. And then I look at his face and he's got this like angelic smile on his face. I'm like, Dad.
Yeah. There you go. You know, it was humid, man. Yeah, it was hot. Well, I mean, like, this is a very unceremonious way to declare that you're a married man now. So, good on you.
It's not a big deal. Don't even worry about it.
Don't even worry about it. Yeah. That's why we went to Japan, because you got married. But yeah, I didn't also just stay there for a month to just like fuck around.
Yeah, we'll talk about it, Tavi. It'll come up in our video game Let's Play. But yes, back to look back. So yeah, the character of Fujino is pretty flawed. Let's talk about Kyomoto though. So Kyomoto is introduced as a shut-in, a hikikomori at the start of the show. So you don't actually get to see her for maybe like 10 minutes of runtime. When you do meet Kyomoto, you find out that she is actually a super fan of Fujino. And Fujino's cartoons are what inspired Kyomoto to practice drawing. And it just happens that she has social anxiety, so she can't leave the house. And that has given her the time to practice drawing, which explains the difference in skill level. But yeah, the two become fast friends and begin to work on a manga together.
And they kind of like live together for a point. And then there's like this really like very nice montage of them just becoming friends.
What do you think about the artwork in this?
Yeah, I really like the animation in this movie is excellent. Like there's a very clear, distinct art style to portray like what Fujino is drawing. She makes like a lot of very silly kind of 4-panel animes. Whereas like, Kyomoto doesn't draw people at all, but she's really good at capturing that like the background of, life and that kind of thing. But just the general animation, I think is fantastic. Like it surely remains that like 2D for me, 2D animation is the way it goes. Like it's just like beautiful to look at, and I think it really tells the story quite well.
Especially in the detail of some of the backgrounds in the anime, right? Like it really captures, because it's set in like a rural Japanese town. It really captures that countryside vibe. Just in very specific details of the scenery, I guess. Things like their schoolyard and their classroom, and just the I guess the suburban areas that they're walking around in, and even like the clutter of their bedroom where they're working on their manga. Like that's all of that achieves that charm of countryside Japan.
I think that after spending time in Japan, you can really see how stories like this and how important attention to detail really is. Like there's a lot of stuff that you don't have to do, but adding that just adds to like really the soul of the story.
It's everything, I think. You see it in works like by Makoto Shinkai as well. Like,
Yeah.
you can tell the artist really knows what they're trying to draw, you know, like in the intimate details. And I think that's really, really important when you're trying to tell a story like this, a story that feels very personal, is to get all of the intimate details in the art.
Yeah, yeah. And what I was surprised about this anime is because I read that it was about like the struggles of being like a mangaka and stuff, but I was pretty pleasantly surprised that it's done in a pretty subtle way. It's not the usual like there's a boss who's saying like, I need you to get 20 drawings done in like an hour or something. I was like, oh fuck. Yeah. So it wasn't, surprisingly not as like hard hitting in that sense. It didn't make me feel like super depressed, like
well, yeah, I mean it's kind of presented as more like a matter of fact, I guess.
Yeah. Where it's like, there's a bit where I think jumping a bit forward, like they have like the manga, they've been serialized and it's like showing the graphs and it's showing like the popularity stages. It go down and it goes up and it goes down. And I thought, oh, that's like pretty cool. It's not just like up all the time and then a downward spiral or whatever, as like most movies would portray in that sense. But like before that, you know, they are working on this anime serial. And they're trying to get it like published, and they end up winning like a notoriety like prize or something.
Yeah, they come runner up, I think. In Jump magazine of some kind.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so that's really like great for them. And then there's a really like there's a really cute sequence of them just like exploring Tokyo and just having fun in Tokyo. And especially since you and I have just come back, it's like, oh man, like, I wish I was doing that again. Like, it's just a lot of fun.
I wish I had 100,000 yen in Tokyo.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, actually, I kind of did live that life a little bit because, in our episode, we could talk about my reckless spending at a point.
Yeah, I saw the photos. You're living your best life there. But because they are such young characters as well, like you do feel like that childlike sense of joy, I guess, from achieving something. Like they're one step closer to their dreams, and they've done it together as a team. As a pair of friends, and also they've got 100K to spend in Tokyo, so that's pretty good as well.
That could get you pretty far, man.
They only spend the 5,000. They went on a night in the town and they only spent 5,000 yen. Tabi, Japan.
Yeah, that's not surprising. Yeah, imagine that. It's like, oh, in Australia, I got this money, and then it's like they go one place after an hour. It's like, oh, got nothing. I've got nothing. Oh man, fucking cost of living in Australia, man. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I'll complain about that in that episode. But there's kind of a point where it's still like, they get picked to make like a Sharkman manga or Shark Attack or Shark Kicks or something. So it's obviously like a little homage to Chainsaw Man. But it's a shark. But yeah, like, because at this point, Fujino is like the story and character person, and Kiyomoto does all the backgrounds.
Yeah.
But Kiyomoto wants to be like, she wants to go to art school.
She wants to hone her craft rather than working for Fujino, I guess.
Yeah. Which is like, I think that's fine. And Fujino doesn't really take that too well. And she tries to dissuade like Kiyomoto that like her social anxiety is going to get the better of her and stuff. And that she won't survive. But Kiyomoto does it anyway. And then that's when we see that montage of Fujino becoming a successful mangaka. And there's no point in the show where she is declining in her career. She's always like doing well, which I think is a different spin on it, because it goes in another fucking direction that I did not expect. But that's a major spoiler. And that really took me back. So like, I don't know, is there anything you want to say before we
I guess before we get into spoilers, maybe the music deserves a mention. Yeah. So good. Again, like the scenery and the art, the music conveys a certain mood. And in the front half of the film, that mood is really pleasant.
Yeah.
like all of the musical beats hit. It's mostly like piano. It's something I guess you would hear from like a Makoto Shinkai
like
film.
a Makoto
It's like
Shinkai.
Radwimps-esque.
Yeah. It's like a pretty like the music is good, but it's quite like standard
It's
of
generic.
like anime
It's
to
a bit
make
generic. Yeah.
Like to be honest, I didn't really think about the music
Nah,
that
but
much.
I think
Like,
it does
I
hit
think
the
it's good.
emotional beats that it needs to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
But yeah, I think you're definitely worth a watch, especially if you're into slice of life anime.
Yeah.
Beautiful looking movie. I don't really have anything negative to say about it.
Yeah, I think it's probably the best anime movie I've seen this year so far. I actually haven't seen too much anime movies. I've been watching, I mean, ever since like going to Japan and stuff, I've been introduced to some like new weirder animes like Oshinoko, which I'll probably watch at some point, and been watching Dandaran, which I really am enjoying at the moment.
Yeah, you and every other person.
Yeah,
Very popular anime.
and watching the first episode of Uzumaki, which we might still do a review on, but I'm really scared to watch the next 3 episodes. I mean, have you heard anything about that?
I haven't watched any of it. I've only heard what you've told me. Apparently, the animation quality declines rapidly.
I'm so afraid because I don't want to face the truth that Uzumaki, after 5 years of anticipation, is just another garbage Junji Ito adaptation. It's not make me too sad, Dan.
We'll have to get to it at some point, Tavi. We'll have to rip that Band-Aid off. Yeah.
Oh, man. Like, we wanted to do it for Halloween, but I'm just like, yeah. I mean, if we were professionals, we would have done it by now.
I don't think it was out,
like,
fully out by then, right?
No, it wasn't actually, no. But there could have been ways we watched it, if, backdoor ways. But it's another...
You don't want Nintendo to come after us, Tavi. Even though they've got nothing to do with that anime, they'll probably come up after us regardless.
Yeah. We can never cover any Nintendo products. Even just us talking about Nintendo is, yeah. But
let's talk spoilers for Look Back. So here are the spoilers, guys. You've been warned. Kyomoto gets killed.
Fucking hell.
Jesus.
That was jeez. I was so like surprised that this happened.
Yeah.
Because it is definitely, I don't know if this was an intentionally
dark turn,
because it's obviously there's the tragedy that happened at Kyoto Animations. But it's also falls in line to the tragedy that happened in Yokohama at the time that we were living there, where one of the guys kind of just went on a crazy stabbing spree. But what happens is that there's a mass stabbing from a guy who assumes that, like, his grief was that he thought someone stole or plagiarized his artwork or something. And then it's just like, damn, that's heavy.
So he went to the arts college and stabbed a lot of students, one of them being Kyomoto. And Fujino hears about this on the news, tries to call Kyomoto. Obviously, it doesn't go through. And then she receives the news from her mother that Kyomoto has died.
Yeah. Like, for me, like, I'm all about like traumatizing your kids because like they need to be. But this movie is a PG rated film, right?
Yeah.
And for this like really sudden dark turn, I have a feeling whoever was rating this show was probably watched the first. It's like, oh yeah, it's nice. There's some mean words in there, but yeah, it's PG. It's animations for kids.
I think what I think what saves it is that nothing is explicitly shown. Like, you hear about it on the news, and that's about the extent that it goes to, right? Like, you don't.
But it's so I guess it is like you would need like a parental. I guess in its sense, it does deserve the PG rating because a younger kid watching this, it's like, what happened? It's like, well, yeah, like where would you start? Because it's quite horrific.
It's a dark way to kill off one of the main characters in your story. In a story that is really light at the start.
I was just like, damn. But this is, I mean, it's Chainsaw Man creator, it's gonna kind of happen.
So this tragedy causes Fujino to obviously do some introspection. The last time that she saw Kyomoto, the words exchanged were not very kind. And she eventually blames herself for Kyomoto's death.
Yeah.
She eventually arrives at Kyomoto's house and she starts to think, like if I hadn't have convinced Kyomoto to leave the house in the first place and join me in this mangaka endeavor, then she would never have gone to art school and she would never have been killed.
Yeah.
So then weirdness starts to happen.
Yeah, I mean, like there's a little bit of a plot device where, and that happens earlier in the film where when Fujino comes across like Kiyomoto's place and she realizes that she's a hikikomori, she sees like a empty blank 4-panel, and then she draws like a little cartoon that's kind of berating Kiyomoto as a as a shut-in, and then she drops it, and then it like falls underneath the door crack, which is surprisingly happens more than you think, actually. But this is what initially sparks Kiyomoto to go out and meet Fujino because she's been such a fan of her work. So cut back to this present moment in the film. What happens is she realizes that Kiyomoto has been reading one of the Shark Attack. Is it Shark Attack or is it Shark Kick?
Shark Kick, I think.
Shark Kick. She's been reading one of the Shark Kick volumes, and Kiyomoto's used the 4-panel as a bookmark, and then she just rips it up. It's like, it's all my fault. She's got like not really survivor's guilt, but just guilt, I guess. And then she drops it, and it does the same thing, goes underneath the door, and then we get that kind of unexplained magical realism aspect where the slip of paper, the top bit of it, like goes underneath the door and it says like "Don't come out" or something like that. You'd have to watch it, but then this changes a perspective in an I guess, in a multiverse. Oh my god, look back, just ripped off Marvel. Oh my god,
that's good. We can put those in the tags now, and people will find us better.
Marvel, So look back, ripped off Marvel. Cool. Anyway, so it creates this new multiverse. So we can multiverse for the algorithm. She loves that. So it opens a new Marvel multiverse cinematic actions in a it's this parallel story.
And then Iron Man rocks up and
and then he's actually Dr. Doom. But it goes into this point of view where Kiyomoto does not leave the room, and then she's like, Fujino just rushes out, and so it must have just been a ghost. But Kiyomoto still gets over her like hikikomori-ness. She's still a bit of a shut-in, but she decides to go to art school. But then we see that incident where she's just like, painting something in an art school, like painting the wall or whatever. And there's this pretty it's a very intense, for this show, for this anime, it is quite a tense scene where we do see the killer, and it's pretty frightening. Just like a lot of the shots that they use and just the mood and like the use of shadows and stuff. I was like, oh man, this is like, I mean, of course I'm not scared by it, but like for someone who's watching this that's quite young, would feel quite threatened by this man who's carrying like a pickaxe or something like that, and is just,
and because we're primed with the knowledge that in an alternate reality, Kyomoto was killed by this man. We're obviously expecting something bad to happen next, right? So the events play out. The guy starts to become more and more unhinged. He finally takes a swing at Kyomoto with the pickaxe. He misses. And then he's about to take one final swing, but then Karate Master Fujino comes in and
that's why she chose karate. That's all it leading. So do you know why
her sister was
it was
right
karate?
all along.
Because it's fate, Dad. It's fate for her to be a karate master, and it's fate for Kiyomoto. So it's all about that very Japanese fatalist mentality. Whether it's like, you know what, if you're not a mangaka, you're gonna be a fucking karate
there are only
master.
two paths set out for you.
She's going to be a mangaka anyway, because Kiyomoto's like, oh yeah, thank you for saving my life. Can we exchange phone numbers? And she realizes at that point, you're a Fujino that you like used to make those like 4-panel stuff. And she's like, why did you quit? And she's like, well, actually, I've been working on something new. So there's that whole idea of like no matter what, I guess, universe, you're destined to be like who you are supposed to be, I suppose. So that was like quite nice.
Yeah, but at the same time, you might not be murdered by a person with a pickaxe. You know?
She still was an artist, but she got murdered by the pickaxe guy.
Yeah, kind of like a. Well, I mean, after this turn of events, it does revert back to the reality that we had before, where Kyomoto.
Well, there's another little bit of like time
passed.
travel, because like it seems to be that the passage between times is Kiyomoto's doorway.
Yeah.
So because like Kiyomoto draws a 4-panel thing of like Fujino like rescuing Kiyomoto, and it's kind of like done in Fujino style, and it comes across back to the present timeline. Oh, fuck, here we go. Multiverse of madness. Oh my God, timelines and shit. And it's like, goes back to the current timeline. And then Fujino doesn't really like question it, but she just picks up. She realizes, yeah, I'm doing this, even though, you know, being a mangaka is quite a thankless job. That's the reason why I did this, was so I could inspire people like, you know, Kiyomoto, and she remembers all the good times they have, and it's quite sweet. And it's basically the end of the anime, right? Like she goes back to her like kind of soul-crushing job of being a mangaka.
The credits roll as she works a 12-hour shift, presumably. With no breaks.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's portrayed in like a lovely manner still. Like at the end of the day, she's still doing what she loves doing, even though that she may have lost her motivation for it.
And her karate skills.
At the end, she's got no karate skill this time, so she can't rescue anyone. But
no, it is a bittersweet ending.
Yeah.
I think that the ending is effective in tugging at your heartstrings even more, because it shows a possibility of what could have been, I guess.
I liked that the story went through a pretty dark tone. And I think a lot of anime, even anime for kids, tends to go heavy when it can, to contrast it. And it can be like quite weird, because there's nothing to explain the time travel at all.
Right, yeah.
And I actually really like that it's not explained, because you're kind of always pressured to explain it. I think that's like a Western writing style, because I know for a fact that if this was a treatment, or if this was like a demo script, and you would hand it to some friends, and then people will say like, so why did this happen? Like, I don't get it, so I don't like it. So, and it's just like, but that's not really the point of the story. Like,
yeah.
The point of it is like, don't give up on your dreams. Whether, you know, I guess that's the main like crux of the message. Your dream might be, you know, a soul crushing manga artist, but I think he even knows, Tatsuki knows that he's doing what he loves, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think the message is pretty strong, and like you said, I think the supernatural elements don't really need to be explained. I think that's the freedom of anime, is you can just do weird shit without having to explain yourself.
yeah.
But I had a thought about the ending of Look Back. I was thinking about it, and what if none of that actually happened, Tavi?
Do you think it's all in is it the typical it's all in Fujimoto's
Yeah, what if
head?
everything that happens after, you know, Fujino goes to Kyomoto's house and rips up that 4-panel, causing the shreds to go under the door and into the past, which causes Kyomoto to not leave the house and ultimately leads to Fujino saving her with a karate kick?
Yeah.
What if all of that was just a story that Fujino concocted in her mind to deal with the guilt she felt over Kyomoto's death?
Yeah, I mean, it could be, but knowing Japanese creatives with parallel worlds and traveling through time and regret and whatnot, I feel like that's what you see is what you're getting. There's just some magical reason that they're going back in time, and it's not explained.
I mean, that's what I'd like to believe, but I was thinking about it, and there are a number of clues to suggest the dark ending.
Oh, really?
So,
all right, what are these clues, Dan?
First of all, like the whole parallel world situation, as lovely as it is really abrupt, right? Like it introduces supernatural elements to an otherwise grounded story, right? We've never really gotten a hint of anything magical throughout the film up to that point. But what we did get a lot of was Fujino coming up with a story, and us as the audience going into the story to experience it firsthand. You know, she does this at the start with her story about the guy that gets reincarnated as a meteor. And it even happens when she like sketches that story about Kyomoto winning the Hikikomori championships, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's one clue. The second clue is like when we see the events that lead up to Fujino saving Kyomoto from the pickaxe guy play out, there are captions inserted into the frame, you know? Like a student sits on the sofa for a break. She hears a metallic knocking sound from outside. So these captions, they're similar to the captions she uses in her 4-panel mangas, right? Or in manga in general, that she's, so it's like kind of like indicating that it's more like comic book style narration. Whereas we never see any captions during like the scenes that are quote unquote real. You know what I mean? And the third and final clue, Tavi, once Fujino saves Kyomoto from the pickaxe guy, right? Kyomoto goes home and reads goes back and reads the 4 panels that Fujino drew as a middle schooler. And then she like smiles because of the art that got her interested in art in the first place, right?
Yeah.
And then Kyomoto takes out a blank 4-panel and draws a little comic strip that cutely depicts the scene from the day that Fujino saves Kyomoto with the karate kick. And then the 4-panel flies out of her hand from the wind and gets swept under the door, and then enters the alternate dimension where Fujino discovers it. Fujino reads the 4-panel, and the thought of Kyomoto being alive in some way in some other world gives Fujino the strength to carry on and get back to her work. But here's the thing, Tavi, that 4-panel that Kyomoto drew isn't drawn in Kyomoto's art style, right? It's drawn in Fujino's art style. And of course, we're led to believe that this is because alternate Kyomoto was paying homage to Fujino, right? But we've never seen her draw like that before. So what if it's because Fujino drew it herself? You know what I mean? Like what if in her guilt-ridden state, she created this fiction in her mind and drew the comic herself as like a coping mechanism for her own grief over Kyomoto's death? That's like the darker interpretation of this story, I guess. And I think Fujimoto might have tricked us into believing the nice ending.
Yeah, well,
because like she goes back home, she goes back to work, and the credits play as she's working, but it's like to this nice song, right? But it's a pretty bleak ending. Even if you accept the alternate dimension theory, like she just goes back to work, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
well, I was actually thinking that it's like, she does draw the drawing in like her, Kiyomoto does it in Fujino style, which I thought was weird. And like, I'm pretty sure that the ending is like, it is a little bit bleak in a sense that she is just gonna go back to like, overworking herself. So it's not quite like happily ever after. But I feel like that like bleaker ending probably undermines what the movie is trying to say, or the atmosphere that the movie is trying to evoke, which maybe Tatsuki was trying to do that. But if he did, then he failed at that because it's supposed to be a nice movie. Whether or not he comes out of the woodworks and he's like, haha, I tricked you all. It's actually like
I'm not overly familiar with his work. Like I've watched a bit of Chainsaw Man, but he, from what I've seen in Chainsaw Man, it does kind of subvert pleasant atmosphere sometimes in place for like darker content, I guess. So
but I think that's just there for more for like contrast's sake rather than just like because it does subvert the nice anime trope, but I think what brings it back, it is that it still goes back to its core as being like a nice movie, even though the ending might be a little bit bleak if you want to interpret it that way. But I have a feeling you're probably just reading too much into it.
Okay.
Because if you ask most directors, like a lot of this shit just kind of happens by coincidence, but they'll probably never admit it. You'll probably be like, oh yeah, I thought about this theory, and then the director will go, oh, actually that's smart. I'm going to take that theory and run it.
You sound like you've done that before, Tavi.
I haven't done that before. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, often the audience does read into things more than perhaps the creatives behind them. But I don't know. I feel like the clues are there, and I think both endings are effective in a way, because like the subversive ending as well is kind of like, it's a pretty clever con, if that's what he was doing. Like, make us feel good about this horrific thing that's happened. But then if you choose to believe the magical ending, that's nice as well. I think that's a pretty solid ending too. So I think both interpretations of the ending work. But I'm just interested to see if.
I wonder. I mean, I haven't really seen any fan theory like analyses of Look Back. So, I mean, I wonder if there's anyone out there that shares that opinion. And I'm always into like dark, cynical endings, but like I think sometimes maybe the happy ending is just a happy ending, I suppose. And I think if there was an intention to do that, and maybe the director of the anime is just like, nah, that's like, I don't want people to feel like shit after watching my movie. So let's just leave it as a nice ending. It is definitely like a bit of a whiplash, but I haven't read the manga, so who knows? Maybe the manga is bleaker.
I mean, I was just trying to think of another kind of movie that tricked us into feeling good about the ending when objectively it's terrible, but I couldn't really think of a movie. I'm sure there are examples out there. Leave it in the comments if you can think of one.
I think there's definitely movies where I've watched. I'm like, that's not a happy ending at all.
Source Code comes to mind, but
Source Code, There's I can't, like, my mind's drawing a blank at the moment, but I've definitely seen movies where it's just like, I don't think that's very happy or something like that. Just can't think of it. I'm sure people in the comments can put it in there and
help us out.
It'll come to us
because
later.
We will not be looking it up.
And you are not going to be reading any Tatsuki manga.
Probably not. Honestly, probably not. I'll watch Chainsaw Man. That's my commitment to him. But yes, back to Look Back. Yeah, like I think it's a really affecting story, and they do a lot with the 58 minutes. I think like it's an emotional roller coaster. Beautiful movie, I'd say.
Yeah. I wish it was longer, to be honest. an hour and a half would have been nice. Yeah. I think an hour and a half is the sweet spot for like most movies.
Where would you put that extra runtime
though? You can explain why the time jump.
The architects can rock up and exposition you about why it's happening. Concurrently.
I mean, it's like I wouldn't have. I'm not sure plot wise what you could add, but you could still like take your time a bit. Maybe. Just,
I guess maybe more character moments between Fujino and
just more like
Kyomoto would have been nice.
More meandering, because I kind of like meandering in movies, but people are always really afraid to do that in films as well, because it's like this isn't pushing the plot forward. But sometimes like it's just nice to watch characters be characters and just live in the space.
Well, I'm guessing it's pretty. I'm guessing it's pretty true to the manga that it's based on.
Yeah. I don't think the manga is very long. It's really short, so
I don't think there's anything wrong with a 58-minute movie. It's fine.
Yeah,
I paid $25 for it.
You paid $25.
The cinema is making more money because they can fit in more sessions.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. They're not making a lot with Megalopolis. Isn't that like a 3-hour movie?
Yeah, also nobody's watching it, Tavi. But that's beside the point.
It's already out on streaming now, isn't it? Or something?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Can't wait to watch it.
I do want to see it. Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah.
All right. Do we have anything more to say about Look Back?
Yeah. No, go check it out. I think it's a beautiful story, and probably one of the better just general animated features that have come out this year. What else have I seen this year that's animated? Minions. That's the only other animated movie.
I saw a French one recently. I forget what it's called though.
Is it Robot Dreams? That's French.
Not that one. A different French one.
Is it The Wild Robot? No, it's like, is it the one about the turtle?
It's the one that looks really Ghibli-esque. Sirocco and the Kingdom of Winds.
Yeah, I heard that one is good. Yeah, I think I know that one. Yeah, I do want to watch it, but yeah. Anyway, check out Look Back. I think it's great. It's a pretty simple story that takes some pretty dark turns, but it's not like, if you're scared of horror movies, you're not going to freak out over it unless you are really like the softest person in the world. Anyway.
All right, let's move on then, shall we? Let's talk about The Shadow Strays.
Yes, a completely different story, different feel. This one has a ton of violence compared to Look Back. It's from one of the kind of upcoming, well, not upcoming, they've been making movies for a while. It's part of the Mo brothers, but they've been working separately for a while. This one's from Timo Tjahjanto.
Yep.
Risky will probably correct me whenever he next sees me after that. He went, that's not how you pronounce it, you dickhead. But that's all right. But yeah. It's Timo and Chemo is the other one.
Yep.
So I've been following these guys' works for a while. I quite liked. I think did Chemo do Killers or was it Timo? Because I know that one of them kind of does horror more so, and then Timo does kind of more like action films.
So both of them did Killers. Apparently, they co-directed Killers together. So Chemo Stanboel. Thanks, Risky, for the pronunciation correction later. He seems to be the more horror-based director. Yeah, while Timo does more action.
Yeah. I think Timo did like May the Devil Take You or something, which is also on Netflix, which I've yet to watch. But both of them have heavy graphic violence, and there's often been like a critical standpoint that people don't like. But for me, it's like that's the auteur vision right there, because it kind of makes it stand apart from everything else, and it's just like, especially because a lot of Hollywood films can be quite soft, especially. Nobody in John Wick it's pretty hardcore, but I wouldn't say the violence
it's not the same.
is graphic.
It's not as dirty. It's not as grisly.
It's not as dirty.
Timo is responsible for one of our favorite, more recent like Netflix movie offerings, The Night Comes for Us.
The Night Comes for Us. Yeah. I fucking love that movie. Oh, actually, speaking of Nobody, he's doing the sequel.
He is,
for
yes,
Nobody.
You're right.
I'm so excited to see that. Like, I don't know, but like, I'm pretty sure Hollywood have said like,
water it down.
Just water it down a bit. Just you can't have that.
They're taking away his blood budget.
A little bit too much blood, and there's definitely not a shortage of blood in this movie. I hope there's. I mean, the dream for Nobody 2, it doesn't really need it, but if it's Timo, like, I want to see like blood gurgling and giblets. That's the way I can describe it.
The Mo brothers trademarks, yes.
Really dirty violence,
but this film, The Shadow Strays, is a 2024 Indonesian action crime thriller film written and directed by Timo Tjahjanto. So it is on Netflix if you guys want to watch it. We'll do non-spoilers before we do spoilers. But basically it's, tried and tested assassins goes rogue story. So Codename 13, a 17-year-old trained assassin known as a Shadow, is part of an internal organization of assassins. Then on a mission in Japan, something goes wrong. She accidentally kills a innocent bystander, and that leads her to start feeling guilty about her profession. Then she gets embroiled in a situation with a boy named Monji and his murdered mother. When Monji is abducted by local gangsters, then 13 goes rogue and tries to rescue him.
Yeah, and there's corrupt politicians and corrupt cops and gangsters and drug deals.
A gimp mask at one point, or a couple of points,
yeah. I kind of like that story about, because she's like that 17-year-old assassin, so it's implied that the organization that she's joined is kind of like in that Spriggan field, the teenager who's gone through like a lot of military training or that kind of thing.
Yep.
Or what's that anime? Full Metal Panic, in a sense.
Yeah, child soldiers.
I really like, child soldiers. And also recently, the Korean action series, The Witch, which I've seen the first one, which I quite enjoy as well. It's kind of cool. There's just something about the premise which I find really cool, and it's also very anime. The anime influence in this is strong. I mean, you're starting off in Japan, like the most of it, and there's a geisha in there, and there's like samurai battling and stuff, but like I guess what sets it apart is I mean, it is the graphic violence. There's beheading, there's like people getting shot in the face with guns multiple times, and it's just really
there's that
cool.
grenade that they chuck, and then it's like a shrapnel grenade.
Oh,
minces people.
And then there's the two kind of guys that they sort of like humanize, the henchmen. So at this point where it's like, one of them is like a young kid, and then the other guy's like, you get a call from his daughter. It's like, oh, Dad, when you coming home? So I guess they're Timo's watch Austin Powers, and it's like, we should give like the henchmen some backstory. So like, you kind of feel bad when they eventually get killed by 13. Yeah, that's her code name.
I think Umbra is the one that kills the main gangster bodyguard guy.
That's like her.
So Umbra is her
coach.
trainer / mentor, I guess.
Yeah.
So she's a tough but fair instructor. She is also part of this organization of shadows, and she kind of acts as 13's mentor. They do go their separate ways though after the Japan mission.
Well, she kind of gets like reprimanded by like, just like, you got to lay low for what you've done, because I think 13 accidentally kills like the geisha. She should have just told her to run, but she's kind of just chill.
I think Umbra was more annoyed that she got herself shot after killing that bystander because she froze. Because of that, she tells 13 to go back home and chill for a bit.
You're not supposed to feel because you're an assassin.
All that stuff. It's what's it called? Black Widow kind of situation. Get that Marvel algorithm back up, Tavi.
Well, this movie is much better than Black Widow, though. So. And I haven't even seen Black Widow.
It's not great. But yes, it is a pretty similar situation. So 13 is part of this organization, and because of this, she has to take like these kind of drugs that some kind of pill. You don't really know what it's for, but it kind of is implied that it's might have nefarious purposes. Maybe it's like
it's supposed to be like an emotion suppressor. That's what I kind of gathered. That's what they were, because she's feeling guilt, right?
It is affecting her psyche on some level, and she's starting to lose the plot a bit.
Well, it's because the world itself is built that they are part of this like kind of underground but well-known organization called like the Shadows, and they are trained for killing. That's their main stint, and they're very fucking good at it. They're child soldiers. They've been like plucked up from other massacres that they've like taken part in, and taken the kids and trained them to become killers. So I kind of like, there's like a little bit of world building, so there's definitely like a setup to, if there is going to be some kind of franchise to this, like they can expand it because the world is quite big. So it's kind of like going for that John Wick feel, where it's like, there's more to this world than
they kind of
what the current plot is.
Hint to a great larger picture, but at the same time, the story that is being told is pretty small scale.
I think the movie gets a little bit unbalanced because it's like the main plot is 13 comes across Monji, and then his mother is beaten and killed by like these gangsters, but like no one can touch them because they're part of like a big crew, and they've got like the cops and the politicians on their side. So that is like the main spine of the story, but it does kind of follow like Umbra a little bit at a point where she interacts with like her handler and like this other really tank looking dude. And then there's like these ex shadows and stuff. And it gets a little bit unbalanced because you kind of like it loses focus a little bit, I think, as well.
It's like there's two storylines happening at once, right?
It's kind of like a little bit too much. Like it doesn't feel as organic a world building as say like a John Wick movie does. But like I think if you're watching a Timo movie for like its intricate world building, you're probably watching the wrong kind of films. It's definitely like the fighting. And I love that, like, again, a lot of people will complain like, oh, she's a fucking female. How can she do this and that? Like, shut the fuck up, man. Like this, this movie is just cool, like the action is so fun to watch because there's not that many edits in between a lot of the action scenes. So it is like the actors doing the work, doing the physicality of the roles.
Yeah.
And I just love it when a film goes straight to the jugular and it's just like, yep, that person's going to get cut. You're really going to see them get cut. In fact, their whole head gets cut off. Yep, that person's going to get hit by a shrapnel grenade. We're going to show you every single body part flying around and shit. Yep, this person's been shot in the face like, 14 times with a submachine gun. You're going to see every part of his face like blow off.
Definitely doesn't shy away from the violence. Which is refreshing after watching a lot of Hollywood films that tend to shy away from it. But just getting back to like the physicality of the role. So the lead, Aurora Ribeiro, she doesn't seem to have an action background actually.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at her wiki now. It seems like she's more doing like dramatic roles in dramas and stuff. So it is very impressive that they can film these scenes where there aren't that many edits and people's faces are shown pretty clearly. I think the action itself, like the choreography, is realistic enough where you never kind of like, you don't have to suspend your disbelief that much. Even though she is fighting.
But it's also, but it's also still like very stylish as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I wouldn't say it's as gritty as like The Night Comes for Us because this does feel more like it's an anime. So they do some like gravity defying action and like you're a girl with some body armor and a sword and you're taking out all these guys with guns. Of course, you're not going to do that in real life, but who cares? It's like, it's just fun to watch.
Yeah, these shadows are bulletproof until they're not, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that it's also like the people that she's fighting are kind of low-level gangsters at first. So like, it's not all that unbelievable that she can best them in combat. And, because obviously she's done a lot of training as an assassin. I do love how unlikable the bad guys are in this film. There's a couple of them. They're all scumbags though.
Yeah, the politician guy, the gimp guy, his son or something. So, and then the cop.
Just trying to. It's been a while since I saw it. Right.
Yeah, actually, me too. I watched this while I was in Japan, and I just gotten off the plane, and I was really tired in my apartment, actually.
So first she comes across a dude named Jeki. Jeki is a very low-level gangster. He's a foot soldier for a dude named Haga. Haga is one of the trio that is responsible for kidnapping Monji. I think Haga is like a pawn dealer, maybe. And he's got this twin sister named Soraya, who's like a crazy bitch.
That's it. I forgot about that character. She's really funny.
That's a pretty fun character. She just keeps popping up with like a shotgun and trying to kill you.
She has a pretty like decent body count in this movie. In one of the final action
I thought she was going to get taken out in the first confrontation, but she lingers for a while.
Her bitchiness is just keeping her alive.
Pretty much. The other parts of the trio are Ariel, who is a drug lord running as vice governor of Jakarta alongside his father. So he's like the governor's son. But then there's also the corrupt cop who is Prasetyo. So that's the trio. Haga, Prasetyo, and Ariel. So basically 13 has to go through these three trio to get to Monji. And she does so just by beating her way to the top, basically.
Pretty much, It's a pretty simple plot. It's a convoluted plot because, again, there's that other side plot of like X shadows and stuff. It's kind of like for world building. That's more like, I think Umbra and like the tank guy.
Troika.
I forgot his name.
Troika. He's like Russian or
Oh
something.
yeah. He's a pretty cool guy. They're like doing like some other kind of raid, and they find out that they're killing shadows as well. And then Umbra has qualms, and she comes across like an ex shadow that she was really good friends with or something. And then she's like, she beats her, but I'm pregnant, so don't she lets her go. But then she gets captured by Quaker, who just brutally kills her.
Yep, pretty much.
And it's like, damn, man, this movie, just gonna crush the head of a pregnant woman. It's fine. Timo will do it. You don't see it. That's one of the bits where the movie holds back. But that's probably I guess that's probably for the better.
So there's
probably a line.
The two stories happening pretty simultaneously, and I think it's weaved well enough that you're kind of always thinking that the two stories are going to merge at some point.
Which they kind of do.
They kind of do. So, basically, well, I guess we'll have to get into spoilers before talking about how they connect. But before we get into spoilers, I think, it's a pretty typical offering from this director. I think if you're a fan of this director, you're not going to be disappointed from watching this film. I did watch one of his other films on Netflix called The Big Four.
The Big Four. And I've seen The Big Four.
I think this is probably better than The Big Four. I think it's a bit more violent.
The Big Four was all right. Yeah. The Big Four is one of the lesser violent
I think The Big Four was going
movies.
more for action comedy. Right?
I think so, but it's still pretty violent as well.
Yeah.
There's some I've forgotten what happens a lot in that movie. I watched that movie with your brother actually on New Year's Day. We were just like, The Big Four's the new Timo movie. Yeah, he seemed to enjoy it. That movie is kind of a bit overly long, and this movie is actually quite long as well. This movie is 2.5 hours long, or 2 hours and 20 minutes. From what I was like, damn, man, that's a lot of
well, there are two stories to conclude. So I guess he uses it. But a very solid offering, I would say. I think it's hard to criticize because it is pretty much just a straight up action film.
I mean, again, it's not a plot that's going to change your life. You're not going to become a better person. It's not going to tug at your heartstrings. But it is just a lot of fun to watch, and I just have to commend a lot of the action choreography and the stunts. And you probably realize that maybe there's not a lot of safety measures that go into the Indonesian filmmaking market.
Well, and it's also got that kind of that dirtiness and that grit that you get from Indonesian cinema, compared to a John Wick where everything is slick and cool, right? This is more grimy. So if you're a fan of that aesthetic, then this is for you.
Yeah, definitely. I'd check it out. It's probably one of the better action movies. I think this is kind of what I was expecting a little bit more from Monkey Man, I suppose.
Monkey Man's fairly similar, grit, but definitely less violent. Yeah,
less violent and a lot more issues filming because of all the COVID stuff. And budgetary constraints.
But that's a pretty cool film as well, though.
That is a cool film. Yeah. Oh, that would have been cool if Timo had directed that movie. Because Dev Patel directed that movie, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did all right.
Yeah, he did all right.
Just needed a bit more gurgling.
Really cool. The gurgling. I love the gurgling. I don't know if my mate is gonna be listening to this episode, but he's one of the non-believers of Timo. He didn't enjoy The Night Comes for Us because there's too much gurgling. There's too violence. Yeah. All right.
I guess some people might find it gratuitous. I love it though.
Nah, do it more. I need more gurgling and giblets. More movies need more giblets when they get exploded. Yeah. That's good English, isn't it? When they get exploded.
Yeah. This is almost like a genre unto itself. It's really, really well choreographed martial arts action, but the gore of a horror film.
I think so. Yeah. It's a new aesthetic. I hope
appreciate it
that the mainstream, or not the main, maybe I don't know if the Moe brothers have as much of a cult status as other.
I hope they find their audience, because there's definitely an audience for this kind of film. People as fucked up as us, and also martial arts action. Yeah. It's hard to think of a contemporary or even because like it's definitely not happening in Chinese cinema.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
So I guess maybe Japanese cinema.
Yeah, but Japanese cinema can also be quite heavily censored as well. It depends on how you approach the violence.
I think the Japanese approach to like action violence is make it cartoony. So
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So it kind of takes a bit of the impact out of it. Whereas this kind of violence is a bit more realistic. So it feels harder to watch. Right. So it is even different from like the action films in Japan that are quote unquote violent.
Yeah. There isn't really. Yeah. I'm trying to think of a contemporary, but there's not many. Like, especially if I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Like Korean action cinema is not really that gory either.
The only really gory action movie from the West that I can think of right now is Rambo 4.
Yeah, I guess any kind of wartime movie.
But that got criticized because it was too violent. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Sylvester Stallone pussied out for the rest of his career.
Yeah, that's a shame. That's just the West. Yeah. Don't want to censor everything because they're anyway.
But anyway, let's talk spoilers for The Shadow Straits.
Yeah.
So 13 kills Haga.
Yeah.
And then she kills... she gets captured initially by Prasetyo and Ariel, but then Prasetyo decides to taunt her as she's
it's
kind
super
of
like villain stuff, like as if like you wouldn't just kill that person. Like, man, she killed like your brother, your best friend. But he does do the typical Bond villain thing where it's like, we need to pad the movie out, so we're gonna keep you alive so I can like taunt you.
He gets right up in her face and gets his eyes gouged out.
And just when he's about to like basically like injure her to the point of no return, the dad comes like, "What are you doing? You don't know. She could be on our side or whatever. So let her go." It's like, sure. That
Good
that
call,
kind of writing,
man. Good call.
it's a little, it's a
maybe
little
we
bit
can use
contrived.
her. That's like probably a good thing this guy didn't become the governor of Jakarta or whatever he was trying to do.
Probably a good thing. Yeah.
Poor decision making like that.
But she does come across Monji, who has been severely beaten by Ariel's gang. And I think in one of the climax scenes, it's supposed to be like there's this running plot of like a drug deal that's going on, like an important drug deal. But unlike the Killer remake, it's not really that played up on. It's just like, we need a reason for like a climax or the pre-climax, I suppose. So there's this big drug deal. They're supposed to do the deal, and then when she does it, it's like, then they'll take Monji to hospital.
So stupid. So their plan is to do this deal with this drug lord, right? But then after the money has been exchanged, she is to go and assassinate the drug lord, like after the deal has been concluded. Like, why though?
It's just typical, like
villains getting greedy, right?
It's just typical Asian gangster shit, just getting greedy. It's like in the original Killer. Just pay the guy.
It's true.
Like he would still be alive. It's just greed, Dad. That's all it is. It's greed. And the politician guy who throughout most of the movie he's quite like an intimidating figure, but then like he meets his demise pretty easily at this point. And please don't kill me, and it just gets shot.
He gets minced under gunfire. Pretty good.
Pretty funny. He's like he becomes like a pussy very very quickly, and then the son goes there. Then that's really really fun shootout. Like again, lots of bullets flying and
the shootout occurs because Jackie realizes that Monji has died from his injuries. So the deal that they had with 13 for her to assassinate the drug dealer was under the condition that they would let Monji go. But since Monji has died, all bets are off. So 13 starts shooting everybody. Everybody starts shooting everybody.
They should have like taken Monji to hospital and made sure that he was okay. And then like they have a guy on standby that if she fucked up, they can kill Monji rather than
there
like,
was no
man,
reason
this
for
guy's...
him to be there.
It's like he's so fucking injured, and like Jackie's like, oh yeah, like the kid's dying, and they just tell him to shut the fuck up. It's kind of like, I think we should feel a lot more bad for Monji, but I think the movie didn't build up enough of like a connection between Monji and 13, but I don't think the movie really wants you to feel that bad either, because I think Timo knows what kind of movie he's making. So I think this is the balance of like, it's a movie where it's like, yeah, like Monji is dead, but like I don't want you to feel like super down about it. Like, I just want you to enjoy
they show just
the following
enough
action scene
of the characters interacting for you to understand 13's anguish, but not feel it yourself.
Yeah, but do you think that's a flaw, or do you think like it's better if like you were to feel it? Because I don't know, like in the alternate,
I think for this film is probably fine, because like you don't want it to be too much of a downer, right? Like you just want to see that her like do her shit and go crazy and kill people. So I think it's handled well enough, I think.
Yeah, but I wonder if it like if you did have that. You know, I guess if the movie was less focused on the X Shadows storyline and it was just her and Monji, they probably could have had that. But it also kind of runs the risk because most people watching a lot of action thrillers like this are not wanting to feel that much. So I guess it's
kind of equated to John Wick and his dog, right? Like the audience itself doesn't. I know people love dogs, but the audience watching John Wick doesn't really feel that much for the dog. But they understand the justification for John Wick's anguish, right? Like when his dog is taken from him. I think it's the same situation in this film. It's like Monji is the dog. He's like you understand why she's angry, but you yourself are a bit removed from that emotion.
Yeah, I guess they didn't do the Crow remakes like.
They could have
way of like building
Is that
it
what
up.
You would have preferred,
I don't know. Yeah, probably not, to be honest. Yeah, just thinking about it now, like I just want to see 13 kill a bunch of guys, and she does. She kills a lot of people in this scene, and then she eventually kills like basically everyone.
She kills everyone, even that crazy bitch.
Yeah, she kills. No, it was Jackie like runs her over with a car or something.
That's right.
And she like explodes or some shit. Yeah, it's pretty graphic. Yeah, that's funny though. Yeah, she shotguns a lot of people.
Everyone is so sweady in that scene.
It's Indonesia, man.
The main guy is like shirtless, I think, at one point. He's just glistening. He's got like an RPG. It gets wild.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's cool. But that's not even like the marquee action scene, because then what happens after is like I think they're gonna take Monji to like bury him or something, and then. Her, because Jackie and her kind of become friends, but then Umbra and all the other team come and they kill him, right?
Yep, they kill Jackie.
Is that what happens? Yeah, they kill Jackie, and she's like, Jackie! And then Umbra's like, why are you disobeying orders and shit? And then she has her like handler, and is like, now I got to clean up all this like bullshit or whatever.
Oh yeah, the handler guy.
He basically wants Umbra to kill 13 because she's kind of too far gone. She doesn't believe in what they do. But then Umbra is starting to have doubts now after watching her pregnant friend's skull get crushed by the Russian guy. What was his name again? Troika, yeah. She doesn't, like, she hesitates as well. And then, like, 13 gets away. And then Troika goes after 13. And there's this pretty cool action scene between 13 and Troika. And she kind of has to use her, like, this is typical, use her, like, nimbleness to outwit his brute strength, which she does kill him. But yeah, probably which follows is probably like the best action sequence in the movie. Is Umbra versus 13. This fight was a lot of fun. It's very reminiscent of like Night Comes for Us. There's a lot of gradual
damage,
injuries and damage over time, and it's really fun to watch. And it's great. Like, I was having so much fun watching
Yeah,
this.
it's a good mix
cut
as well.
fingers,
Of like,
yeah.
it's really stylized. So I think there is a little bit of CG maybe in some of the attacks.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's very Spriggan-esque as well. There's a lot of like strafing and shooting involved. Yeah, like I think it's really cool to see like the two characters in the fight scene fatigue as they are fighting. Like I always say, best fight scenes, tell a story in and of itself. So you should be able to see like the characters fatiguing and getting chipped away little by little.
Yeah, getting their sensories, like their senses are getting like less and less. What's the word I'm looking for? They're getting damaged, so they're less aware of their surroundings. They're kind of more dazed.
And the fighting becomes less elegant as it goes on.
Yes, that's it. Yeah,
and every move seems very purposeful, right? Like the swords might clash and one of the swords might break, and then that broken sword will play a part later in the fight scene. Everything that happens in the fight, it feels very purposeful and it comes back into the fight at some point. And eventually it ends in 13's victory, I guess, over Umbra.
Yeah. But the handler comes in and ruins it all, and he's about to kill 13 when she's at her lowest, but Umbra kind of like sacrifices herself. I forgot how she kills that guy, but it's like she blows him up or something, doesn't she? Or something like that.
Well, yeah, they fight it out and it kind of ends in a standoff. I think Umbra might have the upper hand, but then the handler arrives and orders her to kill 13. But then Umbra, she shoots the handler and the handler shoots her at the same time, I think.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So they both kind of fatally shoot each other. And then, 13...
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Kind of like is cradling Umbra as she dies.
Yeah, and Umbra kind of tells her 13's real name, which is Nomi. And like it's basically, as we were saying, like her mother was part of collateral for like whatever the shadows were doing. And Umbra took 13 or Nomi in to become a shadow herself. Yeah. So it's kind of cool. And again, like, just a very fun action scene, very stylized but gritty, and just I just enjoy seeing that damage over time shit. And to anyone who wants to see like females in an action role and have it like look cool, watch this fucking movie. It's like they can do it, man.
There's nothing sexy about it, guys. I'm just giving you a heads up.
This movie, there's nothing sexy about it.
They really fuck each other up.
It's definitely not the killer remake, huh? It's cool.
But then there's an epilogue, isn't there?
Yeah. So it's like they go to like Monji and Monji's mother's grave, but then there's another like successor of like 13 or something, 14, who attacks 13 with like a gang of other shadows.
This character design was so anime.
It's very anime. I've seen it. There's a character design like that in that witch movie that I was talking about, the Korean one.
Right.
It's really fun. And this is like, even though like the introduction of this second plot might have been a little bit clunky, I still like it. It's enjoyable.
It's pretty.
And it makes me want to see. Yeah.
But like, it is kind of. It feels like they're setting up maybe a universe, but at the same time, you can just kind of leave it as it doesn't need to continue.
I'm not sure if it will, because this was in the top 10 for a little bit, so maybe maybe that might not mean anything. I don't know. Maybe if Netflix stops making shitty reality shows,
I think Timo's got some juice. He's doing the Nobody 2. I think if he really wanted to, he could probably make a sequel to this.
I think he'd want to. I think he had a lot of fun. I think we can see like what Timo likes, and he clearly likes anime. So it's like,
and he likes the actor Yayan Ruhian. Everyone likes this guy.
Everyone likes. He's like Korean Tom Cruise, which is, I don't know, is that even a good comparison? But anyway,
Indonesian Tom Cruise, you mean? So he turns out to be Master Burai, who was Umbra's
who rescues,
mentor. And at the end of the film, he decides to take 13 under his wing as his mentee. So for those that aren't familiar with Yayan, he is Mad Dog in The Raid and some guy in The Raid 2. I forget his character's name.
He's like a drifter, like a assassin drifter guy.
Yeah.
But he's in like all these Indonesian martial arts films. And a cameo in the Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Yep.
A wasted cameo because, Disney don't know what they're doing, but that's all right.
Yeah.
They just like to tell people off and prevent people from getting killed at their parks. But
No, they didn't prevent that from happening.
No,
They just prevented themselves get sued.
Prevented, getting sued, because Disney has no morals, even though they make movies all about morals, but they have none themselves, which is kind of weird. But anyway, and basically the movie ends, and it's cool.
How many of these would you watch?
I'd watch 2 more.
Okay.
I'd watch 2 more. Yeah. I think trilogies are a nice number, generally. Yeah.
You went into John Wick 4?
I like John Wick 4. I like John Wick 4 a lot.
John Wick 4 is the best John Wick.
Yeah. I think if you can stretch it to 4, but your previous 2 movies need to be like really good as well. Like, I mean, I could watch as many of these as there are, as long as they're like good, I mean, you can do anything you want as long as it's good, right?
Well, Alien had 4 movies. I can't speak to the quality of all of those movies. I know people have come around on 3. I shouldn't give 3 out of time. It's all right.
I don't know. Romulus is good, man.
Yeah.
They're going to make another Alien vs. Predator movie. They're thinking about it.
Well, apparently there's like 2 Predator movies coming out pretty soon. One of them's animated, I think. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. Look forward to that. Yeah. Are they going to call it an anime, even though it's not anime? It's just like...
I don't know.
To get that crowd.
I don't know what they're doing. They made it in secret, so nobody really knows what's happening. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. But anyway...
There's a lot of Mo Brothers stuff on Netflix at the moment, right?
Yeah, I think they've got a pretty good deal. I think Netflix is putting a lot of money into the Indonesian film industry, and Indonesia is coming out with like pretty cool stuff. I don't know why you came to Australia, Risky, even though I don't want you to leave because like I need you here. But like, you guys make a lot of stuff. But like from what I heard, it's a pretty tough industry, and you're under a lot of scrutiny.
Yeah, not like here. Stay in Australia where everything's the best, Risky. Where you can get you can get a Coke from a vending machine for $5.
Yeah, fuck it hell. Yeah, actually, maybe there's not enough scrutiny in the Australian film industry. That's why our stuff doesn't stand out. Who knows? Or maybe the funding bodies just don't know what they're doing and they're just making... Anyway.
We're not here to debate the pros and cons of the Australian film industry. That's probably for another time.
We always say it's for another time, but we never talk about it because we can't be bothered. I don't want to have to do research. I don't want to have to ask industry insiders about that stuff.
I just want to complain. And not present solutions.
Well, the solution is give me money, right?
Yeah, but no, I really like these auteur directors coming out of Indonesia. Like they're putting out good stuff. I hope this kind of cinema finds its audience because it's interesting. It's an interesting take on action.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Like good martial arts with horror movie level violence. Yeah. It's just like...
Because we've seen gory action films in the past. We've seen great martial arts on screen in the past. But for them to combine the two, it's interesting. I like it.
Yeah, I like it. I want to see more Mo Brothers stuff. I might... Timo did one horror movie. I think it's on Netflix. And he's making a sequel for it. May the Devil Take You.
I need to watch some of their horror stuff, I think. I think
we should do like a showcase of all these like Indo like horror movies. Because I watched one the other day. I think it was called Grave Torture. It was all right. Like it was good. But wasn't as good as this movie, but like that was from another Indo director, Joko Anwar, and he does like a lot of horror stuff as well. But yeah, I think like the Mo Brothers, they do a lot of stuff for like the VHS series as well. Like their stuff is always like super fucking violent.
Yeah.
If you've seen VHS 2, they did like Safe Haven with the cult, and yeah, that was cool. So yeah, I hope to see. I mean, just having a quick look at their wikis, like yeah, they're not strapped for work. They're always like busy doing something. Like Nobody 2's in post production now. Oh, he's doing an English language adaptation of Train to Busan. It's called The Last Train to New York. Timo, if it's a Timo vision, then maybe it might actually be.
Yeah,
good.
he'll make
but
it
this
gross.
is just but this is just a wiki, so it's probably like wrong.
No, yeah. I mean, I am interested to see how Nobody 2 turns out. I want to see what the director can do with Hollywood eyes on him.
I hope it's not the sad story of like what happened to John Woo. I really hope not, because I know because Hollywood never gives the Asian auteurs like what they need.
Well, I mean, so every now and then you get a Bong Joon-ho, you know? So,
Yeah, it's true. Oh yeah, Mikey 17's coming out
17
soon as well.
Yeah.
Is it Mickey? Yeah, looks good. I like it.
It does.
And I like Bob Patterson as well.
He's great. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I've got to say for The Shadow Strays.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun movie. Really, really good final fight sequence. Yeah, good stuff.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening as always. What did you think of these films? Did you like Look Back and did you like The Shadow Strays? They're both streaming now, so catch them if you want to. Yeah, I mean, like, both good movies. There's no reason not to watch them.
Yeah. Well, maybe if you're squeamish, you're probably not gonna like The Shadow Strays.
Maybe start with
but you
Look
should
Back.
still watch it anyway. Yeah. Look Back. You have no reason not to watch Look Back though. Like, beautiful story. It has a little bit of like intensity, but it's nothing that you can't handle unless you're like a massive fucking pussy.
Are you a massive fucking pussy? Let us know. You can get in touch with us at twoasianblokes@gmail.com, or you can join our Facebook group to be part of the conversation, or you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok to see what we're up to. Like I said, stay tuned on our YouTube channel for some fun stuff coming up. If you want to hear us rant about Japan for a good hour and a half, maybe, we'll see what happens while we play a video game. Yeah, check it out. It's probably up now, maybe.
Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what we're doing? Yeah.
Yeah, we don't.
All right, guys. We don't. But that's us. That's us for now. We'll catch you.
Catch you later.
Bye.